After a full month in Lüderitz, I was pretty sure this was it. No more records. The wind had been disappointing, the channel was rough, and honestly, it felt like the trip was already over. When the channel opened on the last day, it was completely choppy. People were hitting 50 knots and then just losing it. Spinouts, crashes, really scary stuff. And suddenly, it wasn't about speed anymore, it was about control. I did not expect this day to be special, but it ended up being the fastest day I've ever had in the Lüderitz Speed channel. The first runs were slow, really slow for Lüderitz. The angle was super broad and I just couldn't get the board to settle. I was seeing low 40s, sometimes even dropping into the 30s. That's really not where you want to be here. After 4 runs, I stopped. It just didn't feel right. When I went back in, it started to improve. People were going faster and faster. Speed started to improve for me as well. My goal, of course, was to beat my personal best of 47.5 knots. But I just couldn't break my personal best. Meanwhile, some of the other guys were already hitting 50s. Antoine was up to 52. The wind was still there, but the channel was just so broad that people were just stopping to go. Honestly, I thought this was probably it. Still, I felt like I just needed this one run where the angle of the wind would ease off a bit so the chop would go down, because the wind was strong, so I knew if that were to happen, I could have a magic moment still on this shitty day. And then I finally got rewarded for my patience. The angle turned ever so slightly, making the channel ever so slightly flatter. And I used this moment and just kept pushing. I saw 49.1 on my GPS and 48.6 in the gates. That was more than a knot faster than my previous personal best. Alright guys, that's it for Lüderitz 2025. Obviously it took me a little while to get this last video out, so apologies for that, I've been pretty busy, but yeah, let's recap the trip a bit. And first of all, I want to say a big shout out to Heidi, Christian and Vincent, who I've spent the month in Lüderitz with, and I really wouldn't want to spend 1 month alone in the desert there without having any friends around. So this made the trip really memorable and yeah, fun in the end. So the goal, of course, for this trip from the beginning was 50 knots. And now that I've done the full month in Ludaritz, I think this goal is a lot closer than it was before, because only have I never been above 50 knots in peak speed before. Now I've beaten it twice and even on open water, which gives me a lot of confidence that I could actually do it on the channel. The channel, I don't always want to complain about conditions because it sounds like every video is conditions were shit, this was not right. We're looking for such a specific day that is really a world record day, so of course we need very special conditions. And I wouldn't say the conditions were too bad. Yeah, it was super choppy, it was very difficult to go on the channel, but people made over 50 knots, so no excuses there. I could not do it, but on the other hand, I did improve a lot. I went from 47.4 knots to 48.66 knots and even over 49 on the GPS, so that was obviously not quite inside the gates. And I do believe that I can do 50 knots. The question I'm just asking myself now, how far do I want to push this? Because in the end, it's now, I think, about mainly finding the right moment. Because even on that day, there was a moment of like 10 minutes where all the people pushed above 50 knots, and then after this it was done again because the angle turned too broad, and I sailed my best speed like an hour after that, where people were not going as fast anymore. So it's a lot about timing, being there on the right moment, and then also reading the conditions. And for me the question is really, don't I have more fun just windsurfing in open ocean and open water instead of this man-made channel? Because I believe I can break 50 knots, but honestly it is not that important to me. Maybe I will do it in the future. If I'm going, for example, with Vincent again and supporting or doing something in the role for Patrick windsurfing, yeah, then obviously I would return. But I think at the moment I'm good, honestly. It was a lot of fun and I've been there twice now, but I don't want to go the next 5 years just, yeah, waiting for that one day. Because in the end, what does that prove to me? It proves that I spent a lot of money to go there to chase one day, where honestly, I had more fun windsurfing in Diaz Point on the open ocean spot, because you can just sail around, you don't have to wait, and it is also less dangerous. So let's talk about the dangers for a while. Because the day was dangerous, a lot of people had spin outs because the angle was so broad and the chop kept building up. And then I think the key point was that there was a little lake to the right side of the channel, and when the wind was pushing strong like it was that day, there was water flowing out at one point from this little lake into the channel. And then obviously when you hit this with full speed with 50 knots and you're on a tiny fin and the flow of the water around the fin changes direction, this causes spinouts. And I think this is the place where a lot of people had spinouts. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the crashes on video. But yeah, it was like 4 or 5 people who had spinouts there. And I think this was also because people were experimenting with thinner fin profiles. And we've tried that with finer fin also in the past, and In some cases it can be faster, but it is more dangerous because obviously the fin has less grip, and I think these like thinner fin profiles really struggled with this choppy days. So that was also kind of interesting to see, and I actually felt pretty confident even though it was super sketchy. I didn't have the feeling of having spin out, so I'm super thankful that my fins by Lutz kept me so well in the track there. And yeah, overall just a fantastic trip. I want to say a big thank you to Jako who helped me filming that day. The footage you can see on the back. And yeah, he just pushed through even though it was pretty hard to film with a shitty tripod with wind and sand blasting obviously. So thank you for helping me make this video. And yeah, then of course I already said thank you to Heidi, Christian and Vincent. Of course also a big thank you to Patrick who supported me with all the gear and supported me for the trip to go there. That was a big help, and yeah, the reason obviously why I went there. And then also big thank you to my patrons who are still over there, even though I haven't really uploaded anything there in a long time, but I appreciate that you guys want to support me over there, so big thank you. And yeah, I'm actually 2 days away from the next big trip, so there's a bunch of videos coming then. The winter in Germany is over, so a lot of things happening here. So subscribe to the channel, and I see you guys in the next video.